First and foremost, I want to thank an artist from which back in the 1800s and before was considered to be an offense and an abomination of human nature to have this cultural sexuality. His legal name, as it goes, according to this music that plays in the background I take no ownership of, is by a gentleman on YouTube who posted this, one of my favorite pieces of all time, is Tchaikovsky, or Tchaikovsky. This is 1812, the overture with full with cannons. What I'd like to say as this plays in the background, and I will post the link in description to this video, which vows I am not trying to steal any ownership or legal rights to this video, is speaking out to modern day Americans and humans across the world. As a modern person in this day and age who has been deeply saddened from the hardship that every American has had to go through, from family struggle to poverty to segregation to racism to xenophobia to hatred to any form of racism or bigotry that befalls upon ourselves as American citizens. As an American owner of my own independent business that I have grown since 2017, I am proud to say that I represent the progressive and legal progressive agenda of new age ownership of a business that works with any race, any gender, any sexual orientation, and I don't care who hates me, who discriminates against me, who looks at me differently for this. I represent this proudly where I live and where I work day by day. And I like to think that my movement as an individual owner taking the right steps is the best way to speak out to those and make a difference, a real difference from the modern day and age of America today, with who fights so hard to find working jobs, find a working progressive opportunity. We start with people trying to have the right and privilege to vote, to the right and privilege to have a working job. And to have a job in my line of business is to teach the ethical, moral standard with non-bias, partisanship, and how to drive safety. I'm a driving instructor. That's my business. Now, as for the larger political field out there with how our politics have become since our founding fathers, that I know would not be saddened, but deeply troubled. Not that I am a historian, but I speak on behalf of those in this country that are young and old, that this message needs to inspire anybody that is going to be living in 2020 and going forward from this day, born from this day, and even before that. Any person, any human being, any American, any citizen of this country has got to think clearly about what we're making as a decision, about who we elect as the next president. We have all heard the stories and seen the news reports, even faced the hardship consequences of the choices that we have all made, those who voted for and against Mr. Donald J. Trump. And I am not against Donald J. Trump, other than of what he is trying to do to our current democracy. I have seen the effects of what it is causing to us, and I've seen over the years the presidencies get lesser and lesser of the qualities of a democracy, because the people who have voted these people into office have lost the understanding of English history. That's not our fault. History teachers get bored teaching this. Some of them don't, and the students get bored and they don't want to listen to it. So you gotta think, for every person who went through history class, over the moral value of what they learned, how much do they appreciate the integrity of what they learned, and how little did they just throw it away and push aside to chase down money and dreams and power, and forget the ethics of what it means to be a founding, principled American who fights for the freedom of the average man, woman, and child, and the future that they hold dear. We as average citizens know we fight for our own freedoms, and we hope to do good, but we cannot always be perfect. We hope to be inspired that we will inspire leaders and great people to take action. But what I can tell you as an American in this very brief and short message through the duration of this Tchaikovsky song, or Tchaikovsky is the right way to put it. Pronunciation is not my best suit. Never practiced it. English is one of my strong suits. Math, not so much, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who can agree. So math is not the strongest suit of most, and definitely not in numbers can we say that our president is thinking in the mathematical terms of what could be the outcome effect of what he's doing other than for his own political gain. Whether Trump likes to admit it, he is hurting his family's future. Trump could have been happier just being a building business entrepreneur, banking investor, and rich man to have had businesses and success for his family, but instead he chose to do something because I blame it on certain people who made fun of him. They inspired him to do this job. So it was prone to come. It's prone to be. We are the making of who we choose and who we elect. And I have to say, I'm not happy with the choices that we're facing today, having to swing to the far left or the far right. I don't want to say Trump is in the far right. That would be an understatement. I think there are other people that could have done worse than what he's already shown. So this, in no way, is about an anti-Trump message. This is about what's right for America. And we've had 4 years of Trump. 4 years that haven't really hurt us or benefited us, but have pushed dangerous boundary lines, which we as Americans have to take responsibility for, to really set the course for a safer America, a more broader perspective of safety and the legal standpoint to our founding democracy. We always point blame at founding presidents that have been in office, that have done wrong to us, or have done wrong to the other party. But when do we ever stop to think who we elected, what choices we made? And I have to tell you, if you had democracy at its finest back in 2001, to the point where we rose up as Americans over the terrorism and the hardships that we faced in this country, I have to tell you, the worst things that I've had to see and hear about are the separations of what has happened in this world. And self-segregation is common throughout the entire United States. Even to this day, people of color and different races choose to sit where they want to be in school and separate themselves from whoever they want to be. That's their choice. But your choice, when you go to the polls, when you think about your children's future, it's about who we're electing to represent all of us as a nation and go out there into the world and hopefully try to change the course of what's happening. Whether we all want to admit it, there's too many people on Earth. And the things that certain countries do, like China and these other nations that execute and kill their own people to control order, is not the right message that those countries sell to the world, other than to inspire us to do better. And if we're looking at our president, who is not doing the best he could be doing, I would hope he hears this message, and so does the rest of Congress. Every part of the Senate, every Republican, every Democrat, every House congressional member or congressional member that runs for any state, any legislation, each and every single one of you has to think real hard. How is history going to treat the looking back of what we have done and the outcome of our future? Forget the worry of some struggle of the planet and its hardships. How are we ever going to fix those things if we can't work together? I think it's been common sense this whole time throughout all these years that politics has never really been a good, strong talking point. Same thing with religion. These are sensitive things. They have to be handled sensitively. And to some things are best kept to one's own mind and their own life. And why do I feel like I have the right to get out here and speak on this? It's because I believe there's a better change than forcing our youth to have to step up to the plate and pick up after the older generations that don't want to do what they should be doing. And the one thing that would break any historian's heart, if it hasn't already, and any person who knows history, is thinking back on what the Founding Fathers would want America to be. Not that they could control it, because they are far past, long gone, and outdated in their policies and beliefs, which would not mesh or collide, not even bond with what we face today. But truthfully, what the most important thing that really matters is how deeply committed individuals fight for the democracy values that we have today. Every single member of Congress, whether they're Democratic or Republican, any political field of any congressional point, everyone has done some wrong in their life. They have done something to hurt other people. Be selfish, be self-centered, or be focusing on the wrong things that were for their own political gain. Democrats are no more innocent than Republicans, nor are Republicans any more innocent than Democrats. So what really needs to happen, by the power of the people, by you voting this year, is the core essential root of what you need to focus on, which is strictly, and that alone, the one choice you have is to elect and inspire the youth of this generation, and therefore on, to change our policies to the future, to a better and stronger and safer America, far away from political interference from foreign countries that wish to do us wrong. Russia is not the ally that American President Donald J. Trump is making it out to be. It is an ally only of which is in our own folly, to the proper definition, where we may find ourselves in great peril.
If you're living with HIV,
forgive the ad.
keep being you and
We have to represent all cultures. So even with ads, which I don't pay to avoid, sorry about that. AIDS is a serious matter too in that ad. I wish I could not want to avoid it, but I have to keep the song going because this is about honoring this man, a gay musician who I didn't start this conversation about, but he was gay. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. Your sexual orientation is fine. Just like with religion, we get on this topic of having peace of mind. But when peace of mind starts to ruin the ethics of people's lives and changes the future of the safety of human nature and the progression of our future's outcome, that's when it really matters. We can all say to the person down the street who sells beliefs or ideals or fear into our hearts and our minds, we don't want to hear it, we don't want to see it. It's the same thing with religion. We don't push, and nor should we push religion, as it causes problems, serious issues. It's led to wars, great wars. No religion is innocent in this characterization, but it's amazing enough that most of the religions have learned today to just keep to themselves, keep the peace, and keep the equality. Now, for the core factor of political speaking, not that, religion is perfect still, but it's far improved and grown and matured over the years with its members and the understanding of where it is in the world. And each person that finds peace in that religion should honor it and treasure it and keep value in it to hold true to that. It's the same thing with politics. You can't fix something if you don't want to work around it. And it's sad to say that the only people we want to elect today are senior citizens. 2016 was a fight between senior citizens. You'd think younger generations would want to see younger people running for president with newer ideas and more eventful creativity. But with the lacking understanding of history, this is where we go back to that root of in the classroom. So if you really care about America and you want to change the future of this country, if you're a smart intellectual in the law field, in any field of history, mathematics, the future of this country, and you plan to do good for this world, then start acting like it, start doing for it, and start believing in it. Because whether you're gay, straight, transgender, or whatever gender, doesn't matter what, by identity or by belief, you have a fearing, compelling right to fight, to do what's right with civil, honorable privilege of as a human being to fight for the right, as every American should, which we should all be to be inspired. Fight for the right of bringing peace and justice to this entire world with the wrongdoing that we have befallen and set upon other nations by representing the best that America can be. We lead in technology and research. We lead in economic strife. We lead with weapons and war. We lead with the educational fields. Maybe not with all the technological fields, like Japan has and other countries, but when we put ourselves to the worst of our own folly, our own fear, we can really look past it and find the greater parts of ourselves that have the strength to inspire great leaders and stronger, independent individuals that represent the right beliefs and right policies and the correct foundations of what can grow a stronger nation. So in honor of a gay musician from the 1800s who didn't have a lot of support in that time and was far suppressed at that time in his overall structural core foundation, I want to honor Mr. Tchaikovsky, or Tchaikovsky. Can't pronounce the name, don't want to have an issue with it. Forgive me, all the same. It's Tchaikovsky, or Tchaikovsky, whichever the name, however it goes. Anyway, I've always been a fan of this piece. It's been used in specific movies, especially V for Vendetta, even though it was changed for the protection rights of this artist. But as we set this year on 2020, I say let's represent America, the true, the beautiful, and the proud, and honor our European allies across the world, along with any nation of human being that has right to call oneself a human, a part of this earth. Let us fight for the right of human nature and the succession of our race, and stop dwelling so much on what we cannot change in the past. Let's fix what we can in the future, and let's work hard to make sure that we don't further degrade our intellect, because America and the rest of the world's intellect is showing proof telltale sign we need a change in smarts and ethical correctness. Whether it's political or fundamentals of moral and conscious soul, we have a right to fight for the belief that America and the rest of the world can come together and join, with belief that our leaders can do better than what they've shown, and the people running for the White House and presidential term this year and any other congressional power in the world. We can all fight and represent us better race of the humans. Thank you.